Just free stuff. Take this free stuff, as much food as you can eat, as much as you can drink,
Magical
and
fireworks.
fireworks, right? Like not normal fireworks, like a
No.
dragon, like the best fireworks you've ever seen.
Wizard magic fireworks.
Right. And they're like, man, this speech is going on longer than 2 minutes. Like, come on. Like,
Like, wrap it up. Let's go.
yeah. I'm psychologist Dr. Bryan Violette, and today, finally, we will be reviewing Chapter 1 of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings as part of our Helm's Deep Dive series on the Catholic Center Show. I'll be joined by Matt, the Filthy Casual, and we will be reviewing a long-expected party. So it begins. All right, over the course of this conversation, I'm going to convince you that hobbits are overrated. they're overrated. All throughout this chapter in my latest read, I've realized that they're not that great. And I might be bitter because Peter Jackson did The Race of Men dirty by saying they were weak and they're the reason for the fall of the ring. But hobbits aren't that great. We see this in the beginning with how it's set up. So we have the opening crawl discussing what's written on the text written on the ring, which is absolutely terrifying, by the way.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. It's not, when I first saw the film, I thought it was in the darkness bite them, which is terrifying enough. This is worse. This is in the darkness bind them.
Bind them. Just paralysis in the dark.
Yeah. Suffocation.
Yep.
Like indefinite, eternally trapped, which is the greatest of human fears. This is awful. Okay. And then in the audio version, it jumps right to a long-awaited party. In the book, you go through a chapter of concerning hobbits where you realize that they're so bored, they don't want to go on any adventures, that they organize their lives according to municipal structures. They spend all their time with pipeweed and gardening, and they focus on rumors, gossip, but none of them go on adventure or do anything exciting themselves. And they criticize people who do. They say Bilbo's crazy. They say Frodo's cracked and crazy. Gandalf is a disturber of the peace. But tell me more about him. Tell me more. Tell me all about it when I'm drinking beers at the Ivy Bush after a long day of plowing the fields.
Yeah.
That's just the first thing.
Gamgee will tell them all about him, I'm sure. There's rumors.
Oh, Gamgee will put everybody in their place, including his son, who he rips and criticizes. And then his poor son internalizes it.
Yep.
And then beats himself up throughout the books.
Well, I think hobbits are basically just lazy humans, right? Like, they don't want to go anywhere or do anything. They have no drive. Like, they're just gardening and talking about each other and hanging out. You know,
yeah.
At least the races of man are, they're going out. They're changing the world. They're building kingdoms and
right. And the closest race of men to the hobbits is in the land of Bree, which we will encounter later. And all the hobbits are like, all those Breeland folks are weird. Like, their news is strange. Keep them out of here. But tell me all about them.
Yeah.
But tell me all about them.
Yeah,
rumor mongers, gossips, bored, not willing to take the step that they need to take to go outside of the Shire and live an exciting life. It's like fear creating an insulated, safe world in which they don't have to take any risks.
Mm-hmm. You think that makes them less corruptible? And that's why the ring doesn't... I mean, obviously it corrupts eventually, but it obviously takes way longer than humans, right?
It's true. It's a good question. Is that what actually makes them less corruptible? What, fear? Fear of the world?
Maybe naive. They're very naive. Maybe like...
maybe it's the fear of the world, like poisoning something that is good. Right? I'm not here to absolutely bash the hobbits. I just think they're overrated. Yeah. I think there's good and bad in every single race.
Yeah.
I mean, there's good elves and bad elves. In the movies, it's like elves are good.
Yeah.
There's even good and bad wizards. I mean, there's only 5 wizards. You don't
Yeah.
hear much about him besides Sauron, Radagast, and Gandalf. But Sauron's corrupt. He's corrupted.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll probably get into that later. That's why Saruman got corrupted, right? Hope so. That's probably
Pride,
for a later date.
right?
Pride.
Pride,
Yeah.
pride, and ego, and
Yeah.
attachment to the ring. Even he's so powerful that the thought of the ring corrupts him.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm glad that in the audiobook they skip past the prologue because I feel like I'm like reading for a class and studying for a book. Like studying for an exam rather. It's so
Yeah.
boring, it's ridiculous. And
Mhm.
I think that's why a lot of people start reading this book and they stop when they start getting a few pages into the prologue because a long expected party, like the drama of the story begins right there. But in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
films, Peter Jackson makes it sound like that's the start of the book because that's what the Bilbo says. He sits down with the pen and he's like, "Where to begin?" Concerning hobbits. But concerning hobbits in the book is boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then meanwhile, it does the good thing about the book though, it does you spend more time sort of in the Shire with the prologue and a long expected party back to back. And then right before that, you have that opening crawl, which just gnaws at your unconscious with
Right.
terror. And you just have
Right.
this dark, foreboding feeling about, the wider world as you're learning about the Shire. And you spend a lot of
Yeah.
time there. And then, you slowly get introduced to the terror of the ring and the scary world. I mean, I wonder what it would be like to start over, like to not know any of this and start over. And I don't know how much of my perspective is filtered through the film as
Yeah.
I'm reading the book, how much my
Yeah.
imagination is colored by
Well,
the film.
did you watch the film first, or did you read the book first when you were younger?
The first film I saw before the books. I read The Hobbit when I was a kid, and then I
Yeah.
went to a fellowship, the Fellowship of the Ring, when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah. Yeah. So you already had you had the Hobbit, but like you already had the movie Fellowship like filter on basically, right?
Yes, I did. But I read Return of the King first before I saw that film. And I can't remember if I read Two Towers first. I think I saw Two Towers the film and then read the book. And
Okay.
then read Return of the King and then saw the final film. So I had read that first, but before that it was film first. So it's hard for
Yeah.
me to separate that in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and mine is all film filter because I saw all the films first. Like I mean I was fairly young when they came out, but I watched all the films, and then like the Hobbit films came out. I never read the Hobbit, so I watched the Hobbit films, unfortunately. And then yeah, so I'm fully film filtered at least.
Yes. Did you find that the books deepen, challenge, improve your experience with the films or take away from?
I'd be curious to go back and watch the films after reading everything
Oh, you'll
because
just be
I,
a
I have
snob. No,
I
you'll be
haven't
a
yeah I
snob.
haven't done that. I'll be a total snob. I'm
That's not
already a
what happened in the
snob
books.
just thinking about it. I'm already a snob. Like I can't imagine actually watching it. Like the
Yes.
director's cut's a little better, but
Yes.
still, like it's gonna be. Yeah, I'd be curious to see how that goes. I should watch the movies after reading it now and see like you know what I think there. But I'm definitely be a snob.
Yeah. Of course. Of course. More evidence that hobbits are overrated. They're haters. When you're when as Tolkien is trying to bridge the gap between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and he talks about the Shire's perspective on those events and Bilbo's wealth and age.
Hmm.
All hobbits are hating on him. It will have to be paid for.
Hmm.
It's not natural, and
Yeah.
trouble will come of it, which is right.
Right.
It's actually
Yeah.
right. They have this weird ability to distill all the events of the books into a couple lines, but they're also just jealous.
Yeah. They're just
He
jealous.
looks
Like,
great and he's rich.
well, you know what? What says it for me really is that the only what four hobbits that we know really are Bilbo, Merry, Pippin, and Sam.
Yeah,
Like, how many of them stay in the Shire after? I mean, Bilbo leaves, Frodo leaves,
yeah,
Sam lives his life there, right? But then he leaves.
Yeah.
And I don't know about I don't know if Merry and Pippin stay or not.
Oh yeah, Merry and Pippin live
I
it
think
out.
yeah, I think they stay. But I mean, Bilbo's been there for 100 years, and he's like, I'm out of this place. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah, same. I mean, same with Frodo. He's like, I finished the book. I'm done with these people. I'm out of here. Even though my best friend is here, I'm done.
Yeah. No, he can't go back to that life. He's
Yeah,
been traumatized.
yeah,
It's too simple for him. He's just seen so much crap. He stays for a little bit though.
yeah. He stays for a while to finish the book, right? Or well, mostly finish it, and then yeah,
Not to
Sam
get ahead
finish
of
it. But
ourselves.
yeah,
So then we roll into the conversation at the Ivy Bush, the
hmm
bar, and then you get the introduction of someone I know that you like, Hamfast Gamgee,
uh huh,
the old gaffer, Sam's dad.
uh huh.
What are your thoughts on him?
I love him. What do you mean? No,
What do you like about him?
he's a great rumor mill. I mean, without him, I would have know little and care little about any of the Hobbit stuff. Because without him, it's just like I don't care about any of these Hobbits. Like they don't really matter. But with him, it's like, oh yeah, we've got some family drama. Like they're interesting, right? I feel like they're boring without him telling you like
Yeah.
about some drama, some rumors, like this
Right.
family's kind of
Yes.
scuffed, like nobody likes this guy. I mean, all of his rumors are great. I mean, without those, it's just like, oh yeah, we're hobbits, everything's go lucky, we're perfect, everything's fine. It's like
Yes.
that's super boring.
Yes.
Yeah,
And he's painted as a good guy. He
yeah,
supports Bilbo. He
right.
supports Frodo. He defends them publicly.
Yeah. Maybe not the best dad, but
No, the worst dad. Maybe not the worst dad. There are worse
yeah,
dads, to be
right.
fair.
But not a
But
great dad.
no, no. And the emotional wounds that Sam carries with him for the rest of his life happen because the gaffer
Yep.
just rips him to shreds constantly. And then you just hear throughout the whole story, Sam's just like, "Oh, I'm just a piece of crap. My old gaffer tells me now I shouldn't be even be here. Oh, I'm a mess." It's all like him internalizing his dad's voice,
Yeah.
which you see a little bit of when he rips Ted Sandyman, the
hmm
miller, and he's like, "You don't know anything about boats, and you don't know anything about Bilbo Baggins. Like, shut your mouth."
I feel like that comes out a little bit too. Well, getting ahead of ourselves again, but it comes out a little bit too when Sam rips into Gollum a lot, and it's I mean some of it's
Yes,
warranted, but still, like he really goes at Gollum like a lot, like to
yes,
the point where Frodo's like, "Chill out."
it's such a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is like high level interpersonal process psychological theory. How we are treated is how we treat ourselves. That's like the introject. I'm not going to bore our listeners with this, but how others treat us is how we treat ourselves and how we treat other people. It's like
Mhm.
generational. So
Yeah.
how his dad treated him is how he treats himself and how he treats, what do you call him, stinker and slinker. He
Yeah.
called
Yeah.
Gollum that. Yeah. It all starts with the old gaffer.
Yep. Yeah. He's a great character, underrated character.
Yes. And then we have the party. And what was your perspective on the party? Did you like the party?
Oh yeah, I like the party. I like the party because Bilbo gets to really lay into. Well, he doesn't really lay into everyone. Subtly lay into everyone and be like, I don't really like you guys. I'm out. Disappear.
Like this is
Never
more
sees him
evidence.
again. He's done.
This is just more evidence supporting my point. I was
Yeah.
way sadistic by Bilbo, which was
Yeah.
Gandalf's point earlier in the chapter. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to play this joke on everyone in the entire Shire," and Gandalf's like, "Who's going to laugh at that? Who
Yeah.
will laugh?" And
He
then,
thinks that's funny.
yeah, Bilbo thinks it's funny at everyone else's expense. He insults them, disappears on them, gives them a fright, and he doesn't care. Okay, after this, then they go back to the house. Right, he disappears.
hmm
Boom, he's gone. It's him
Yeah.
and Gandalf, and this is an important conversation. Obviously, you really get a sense of danger for the first
Yeah.
time here, and you see the transition of Bilbo where he could become Gollum. He starts to have
Right.
that unhealthy, addictive attachment to the ring, and Gandalf is alarmed.
Yeah. I think it's the first time Gandalf's probably seen it, right? Because he suspects that it's a ring of power, but he doesn't know. And then I think seeing that kind of like it really makes him think like he's like, I'm almost positive this is a ring of power.
Yes. Well, actually, I'm gonna actually you real quick.
Ooh, I'm ready.
La- Later on, Gandalf does say in a future chapter that he was actually confused, concerned, disturbed by the fact that Bilbo lied about the ring
Yeah,
because he didn't want it because Gollum called him a thief for taking it, and then he
yeah,
had this made up story, and then Gandalf like it didn't add up to Gandalf, and Gandalf got the truth out of him. So that was the first time he's
yeah.
like, "What's up with this ring? Like, I
Oh,
know
yeah,
Bilbo.
yeah.
He's not a liar. Why is he lying to people?"
Right.
So he had a sense of the corruption of the ring at that
Yeah.
point.
Well, he lied to Gandalf, right? Too,
He
which
let
is
Gandalf
like
at first, yeah.
right, and that's like his. I mean, that's his best friend, right?
One of, I mean,
Yeah,
he
one
has no
of.
friends. This is
Well, yeah,
another
yeah.
point in favor of how overrated hobbits are. This guy
I
hates
mean,
everybody in the Shire. All they do is criticize him, say he's cracked and crazy. His nephew, his poor young nephew, they're just ripping this nephew. It's
child,
terrible.
basically.
In the Hobbit years, he's a child. They're just making fun of this little kid, saying he's insane, just like his uncle.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Bilbo's like generally a nice guy to them. No wonder he's like slipping on the ring and like hiding when people are coming down the lane. His own relatives.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's horrible. I mean, hobbits are not. I mean, they're not the good people that it wants you to think that they are.
I think, yeah, that Peter Jackson wants you to think. And this is one of my.
Mhm.
So, like I said, I'm bitter because I'm a man. I'm a human being. I'm a human male. And Peter Jackson makes it sound like the race of men are terrible. It's like
Yeah,
I was there, Elrod. I was there 3,000 years ago when the race of men failed. All the doom that we're living with will place it squarely on the shoulders of men. Like we elves are fantastic. Hobbits, of course. I mean, look, hobbits are great because they're able to resist the evil. I don't mean to put them down, but they're not perfect. Not, I mean, obviously,
yeah.
dwarves are. Everyone agrees that dwarves are kind of a mess, right? They're greedy and whatever.
I mean,
But hobbits are
we'll
perfect.
see. We'll see. We'll get there.
Right. But hobbits are perfect. Neither are elves in the books.
Yeah, yeah,
And so like they're a great men and they're a terrible men. And I think Tolkien writes it this way, but Jackson, I don't know, for cinematic purposes, wants to make you feel like you are a bad person because you're a human.
yeah. Well, do you think it's harder? It's harder to convey like maybe in like a movie form. It's harder to convey that like hobbits are like they're like they're also corruptible, but like not as bad as man. And then man is like definitely corruptible, but
Yeah.
you know they endure more. And then like elves are like also kind of corruptible, but like you know mostly it's like magical beings, like whatever. And then I don't know. I think in like movie form, it's probably easier. It was probably easier just to be like, yep, hobbits are good. See, all of them are good. They're great. Like humans are, yeah, they suck. Look, how they suck.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a little deep in like cinematic terms. I think to try to make a viewer that doesn't really know think like, oh, that Hobbit wasn't so great, but oh, that you know they're okay. Like they're kind of in the middle. Like because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like hobbits were like they're not perfect, right? But they're not like I mean, they're not like killing each other. Like they're not great. They're not super corrupt or anything. Like they
No, they're
talk behind
just
each other's
tearing each
back
other's
and they
well, they're tearing each other's
yeah.
character down.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
they just
bad.
yeah, it's just I mean, it's just mental games. They're not like hurting each other and like I mean,
True.
yeah. I mean,
True.
it could definitely be worse. And humans are, you know, they definitely get worse, but like yeah, overall it's like, you know, hobbits aren't perfect.
It's true. Did you think so? Okay, so Bilbo gives up the ring, and
Mhm.
then Frodo rolls in. Did you think it was weird that Gandalf like has this suspicion that the ring is dangerous and it's the ring of power, and he's like, "Here you go, Frodo. I'm out. Like, here you go. Here's the most dangerous thing in Middle Earth. I'm just gonna trust you with it. Like, I trust that you're like just in the movie. I actually think one of the great additions to the movie is that line that everybody knows: "Keep it secret, keep it safe." Like that's
Yeah.
not in the book, but it's a great
Mhm.
line, and it encapsulates like Gandalf's point to Frodo: like, don't use it.
Yeah. Don't tell
It's
people about
dangerous.
it. Just
Don't tell anybody. And he just trusts him. Like, for, okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I won't
mean,
use it.
Gandalf's like a really good judge of character, right?
Fair.
So I mean, that's one of his really good strengths. Like he can tell right away about somebody, anybody. I mean, elves, people, like anyone, hobbits, whatever. And
Yeah.
he's known Frodo his whole life, right? I mean, so 30 plus years. I mean, he's known Frodo. So I mean, I think he had probably a pretty good read on him at that point, that he knew that like, oh yeah, he'll do what I say. He'll keep it safe. Like he won't tell anyone. Like he
Yeah.
won't use it. And yeah,
That's
I mean,
fair. And I
and he
guess he
does come
also
back to
has,
check on him, but
he does. And I guess he does have evidence of like how long it would take to work on a Hobbit because Bilbo had it for like 60 years, right?
yeah, yeah,
And he assumes they're cut from the same cloth. And
yeah.
he Gandalf would debate me right now when I'm saying hobbits are overrated. He loved the hobbits. He thought
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
they're the
He's biased
greatest
though,
things. They're
right?
the greatest thing since pipeweed, right?
He does. Well, he likes his pipe weed. That's what part of why he likes the
He
hobbits
does.
so
And
much, too.
depending on your personal relationship to smoking pipeweed, that could be tobacco, that could
It
be
could be
marijuana,
anything. It could
it
be
could be any
psychedelic. It could
it could
be
be anything, right?
anything.
People read a lot of stuff into that pipeweed.
Yep. Yep. They make it seem like it's just like tobacco or something, like nothing. Like, they don't make it seem like it's a drug or anything. They make it seem like it's just casually.
I think the modern view of it is an overlay that it's weed. It's like,
Is it? You think so?
see, I think so. I think a lot of people see it as like smoking pot,
Yeah. Yeah.
even though I don't think Tolkien himself intended it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that I found was odd that struck me this read through was how Bilbo said that Frodo would come with him. He says to Gandalf, he'd come with me if I asked him, but he's still in love with the Shire. He doesn't want to leave. And then as soon as Frodo gets the ring, he's like, I gotta get away from these Sackville Bagginses. Leave me alone. Get me out of here. Like I wish
Nah.
I was with
Well,
Bilbo. Do you think that's because that's like his first like he now has the ring and it's like already working on his mind and corrupting him? Or do you
yeah.
think it's more like I don't know.
I mean, I think there's maybe two things here. So I think the first thing I think is that we kind of talked about like the ring is like it's obviously getting stronger as time goes on, as Sauron gets more powerful. But so when Frodo gets the ring, it's obviously more powerful than when like Bilbo ever had it for the most part. And
Yeah.
so it could be that, could be that. But I think there's also an aspect of like we talk about everyone in the Shire is kind of a jerk, like to Frodo, to the
That's fair.
Baggins, right?
You're very
And
empathic to
so
Frodo. You're
yeah,
validating him.
I know, I know.
You're
I
support
don't know
for
why.
someone that hates
I don't
Frodo,
know
and I
why
know you
I
don't
don't
like
like
Frodo. You
Frodo.
think he's a wuss, and you're backing him up right now.
Frodo in the Shire is different than Frodo on the road adventuring. Like Frodo in the Shire, okay, fine, but like when he's trying to be the hero, just chill, Frodo. Okay,
Yeah,
but no, like I mean, I think because like there's an aspect of it where he just lost his. Well, he didn't. I mean, his uncle left, who,
sure,
you know, his adopted father, basically, right? So
sure.
his uncle leaves. Who's he got? Like, kind of Sam is kind of already his friend, I guess, right?
Yeah,
And
Merry and
like,
Pippin, Sam,
Merry and Pippin. I mean,
Fredegar
that's
Bolger,
that's
who's not in the film at all.
yeah, yeah, and that I mean that's it. So he's got like a
Yeah,
couple people that he's friends with, and like his basically his father just is gone, and is
yeah,
basically like I'm never coming back. Like I think there's an aspect there where he's like kind of like I gotta leave, like I gotta go be with my family, or because I mean they're very like the hobbits are very like well they make them seem like they're very like family oriented, like you know stay here, don't leave.
yeah. They're cowards.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why they're so interested in rumors and,
Yeah.
and what's going on in the outside world because they don't want to take the adventure themselves. Again, I'm going to convince you that they're
do you
underrated,
think
that they're overrated.
do you
What?
think that because hobbits like rumors so much that they get in fist fights? Do you think they have fist fights ever?
No, no, I don't think
No.
they have fist fights.
So like they're talking trash about somebody at the bar. You don't think they ever get in a fist fight? They don't confront each other ever. They just let
Oh,
the
actually,
rumors
yeah,
go.
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. There's probably some battles at the Green Dragon and the Ivy Bush. They have the Bounders. Basically, it's like it's one letter away in the alphabet from bouncers, right? They need they need bouncers. The Bounders
Yeah.
are like the policemen that probably have to break up a lot like bar fights because you're right. All the rumor mongering.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Frodo never got in any bar fights. I'm almost sure of that.
Well, hold on. Movie Frodo?
Movie Frodo, yeah. Movie Frodo definitely never.
Book Frodo could probably throw his weight around. He could probably throw some hands.
Maybe.
People
Well, if
respected him.
Sam's backing him up, probably, but
Always.
yeah.
That's one thing that we can say for sure. Sam's got his back.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder too if you're backing Frodo up here because you can identify with how awful it was to have people coming into your new house and stealing your spoons and stressing you out. Like they were pretty terrible. His own
Yeah,
relatives.
yeah.
I mean, it says
Yeah, his
something
own
about
relatives were terrible. Yeah.
not that any of us have ever had any difficult experiences with our own relatives before.
No, none of us have trauma. No, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, in the book, it's a lot more apparent that like he's not alone, but he's kind of alone once Bilbo leaves, right?
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
I mean, all the drama around his parents, like who drowned and maybe killed each other, who knows? And then like, Bilbo's like, "All right, I'm out of here. I'm never coming back. See ya." That's a lot. And
Right.
he just became a man basically, right? According to Hobbit years. He
Right.
was his coming of age party, so it's like that's a lot for him. Hey,
Abandonment
yeah,
fears.
and then they stole all his stuff. So
Do you think hobbits have therapists? Do you think they have psychotherapists to process trauma?
I mean, name one Hobbit from this chapter you want to be your therapist.
Definitely not Ted Sandyman.
Ham Gamgee.
Who's the most empathic, warm hobbit? I mean, probably Merry. He only gets like one line,
Yeah,
but he's completely above the criticism that Frodo's a brandy buck. And he's like, it's a compliment. Just
yeah,
rolls off his back. He doesn't care. Like that's who I'd want as a therapist.
yeah.
Merry. That's another thing that I want to talk about too. Merry. Like if your nickname was Mary, wouldn't you be
Mm.
like, call me Mariadoc? Like if people were calling you Pippin, wouldn't you be like Peregrine? Peregrine's my name.
It's
Like
Peregrine.
it's Peregrine. You think about the gaffer,
Mhm.
Hamfast. He's like, call me Ham. No, I might go by Hamfast. Or Sam. Sam sounds way cooler than Sam. It's like, don't call me Billy. My name is William. Right?
How
You know
come
those
Frodo
people that
doesn't
go
get?
by
How come
like that.
Frodo doesn't get one? Shouldn't Frodo get one? Or does Frodo have one? He doesn't have one.
No, I think he's just Frodo. I
Just
don't think
Frodo.
he has an extended name.
What
He's
a
just Frodo.
loser.
It's there it is. There's the deep seated resentment for
Strike
Elijah
one,
Wood.
Frodo.
We've been waiting for your hate to come out towards Elijah
Strike
Wood.
one, Frodo.
There it is. Yes. All right. So who won the chapter?
Well, I mean, it was Ham Gamgee, obviously for me.
Why?
Yeah, I mean I already talked about it kind of, but that like, I mean, the rumors, like to me, the hobbits are like, I mean, they're pointless basically to me. Like, I don't care about like the hobbits and how go lucky they are. Like, it means nothing to me without Ham Gamgee and his rumors spilling about like, no, they're real people. Like, they have drama, they have family history, they have like infighting and like all this stuff. And, it actually makes them a character versus like, no, we're just we live in the Shire and everything's perfect. Nothing changes. Everything's perfect.
Right. Their own narrative, which I'm deconstructing by the sentence over here.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're so boring to me without all of that drama and rumor milling and like,
Yeah.
the only thing interesting without Ham Gamgee and the drama is Bilbo insulting everybody and then leaving. That it's like, oh, that's interesting, but everyone else, I don't care.
So the gaffer just talking it out, holding court at the ivy bush, ripping Ted Sandyman like he rips his own son, saying you don't know anything about boats, you don't know anything about
Yeah.
Bilbo, like know your role.
Yeah.
He is an interesting character that he's with us this whole time because Sam references him so frequently.
Yep. Yeah, he's all through the book if you look close enough.
Yeah.
Reading between the lines. No, he's great.
For me, Bilbo has won the chapter. I mean, giving up the ring is momentous. That's not an easy thing. He needed Gandalf's help for sure, But I mean,
At its
it's
strongest point, giving up the ring.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, he was tempted to keep it, like I said, like to become like Gollum, and you can hear him kind of musing in his own mind. Why shouldn't I
Yeah.
keep it? Right? It's mine. It came to me. It's mine. He's like fooled himself, like Gollum
Well,
fooled
he
himself.
calls it precious.
Calls it precious, right?
He's
He's
getting
like
there.
succumbing to the addiction, but before it gets bad enough, he gives it up out of love, right? That is the great message through this whole thing is loving others and transcending the self to like doing the right thing only because you basically love other people. That's the whole
Mhm.
point of Merry, Pippin, Sam, and Frodo is like I love them. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm incorruptible. Like the love prevents the corruption of the ring. And so he gives it up. He trusts Frodo with it. And then
Mhm.
he immediately feels relief. Immediately after carrying that burden for so long.
Mhm.
Like I think it's a huge deal that he gave that up. Like he wins. Imagine if he didn't give it up. Imagine if he's like, nah, I'm keeping
Yeah.
this.
Well, so Gandalf would have struck him down and took it.
But think about that. Imagine he
That's
kills
the.
him to take. Imagine
Oh
if it
man,
escalates.
does that corrupt Gandalf? That corrupts Gandalf for sure, right?
What do you think? Well, how does he explain it? Say it doesn't corrupt him. Say he kills Bilbo to take the ring because like Bilbo just
Yeah.
gets worse and worse and worse, and he pulls his sword and tries to stab Gandalf. Gandalf is
Mhm.
like pop with some like I cast fireball, like lights the whole of Bag Ends in flames with one move
Yeah.
because he's got one of the three elven rings and he's like guardian of the secret fire of Arnor, okay? And then he just lights him up, roasts him. How
I
does he
don't. I
explain
don't.
that?
I don't think he talks his way out of that. I think he just leaves and never comes back.
And leaves the ring there?
No, no,
Or
no.
takes it?
He has to take it. That was the whole point. He has to
Right.
take it
And then
because
he's corrupted.
he's never going to convince Frodo to go with him and take it or
No, he
any
killed his
other.
uncle.
Yeah, I mean maybe it would have to be a different character. I mean they didn't like Bilbo really, but I don't know that they wanted him dead.
No.
So
There
like,
might be a line.
yeah, the rest of his family. I mean maybe there's somebody. Maybe there's somebody that they could they did want him dead, and they're like, oh okay, I'll take the ring, and then the
It's
story
kind of,
changes. But
we get to that point with people where it's like, I don't wish them ill will. I don't wish them dead, but I don't like them.
yeah, yeah.
That's how the entire Shire felt about like cracked Bilbo. Oh, I meant to ask you the conspiracy side of things. I know you love a good
Mhm.
conspiracy theory. From the perspective of the people in the Shire, they
Mhm.
don't like what really happened with Bilbo when he went away. Like, did Frodo's dad yank his mom into the river and drown her?
Mhm.
Like this, all this rumor mongering, conspiracy theory. We like that story. We never find out if it's true. Maybe Frodo's dad did do that.
Yeah.
Drogo Baggins. Maybe
Drogo.
Drogo Baggins drowned
That's
his
a.
mother.
I mean, that's a pretty evil name, if you ask me.
Drogo.
Yeah, it sounds evil.
What's the dude's name from Rocky?
Game. Oh, from Rocky.
Rocky
Is it?
Four.
It's not
Ivan
Drogo, is
Drago.
it?
It's
Oh,
Drago.
Drago. Drago.
Just
Yeah.
different pronunciation. Basically,
Yeah.
his dad was the Russian boxer from Rocky Four. That's Frodo's dad.
Yeah.
So
That's who I pictured.
he might have drowned Frodo's mom. But but in general, there's all these kind of conspiracy theories, and it's interesting for
Yeah.
us as readers to know like what generally what's true and what isn't, and to see them kind of wrestle with it.
Mhm.
Do you like does that make your pupils dilate when you hear these conspiracy theories?
Oh yeah, I love them, and we can thank Ham Gamgee for all of them. Just
Right.
introducing us to all these great rumors and conspiracies
What's your great line? You
around the
can't
Shire.
prove it didn't happen. We can't prove
That's true. You can't prove it
Frodo's
didn't
dad
happen.
didn't
Yeah.
drown his mom.
They. The fact is, they both drowned. You cannot prove he didn't pull her in, or she pushed him in.
Oh man. All right. So who's your best supporting actor? Do you have one?
Oh, I don't. I don't know that I have one. I mean, I don't know that I have one because I would consider like Sam or I guess Mary. Who Sam's not in the chapter. He just mentioned. Um, I don't know that I have one. I mean,
It has
who
to
would
be a
be
lesser
yours?
character
A lesser
than the
character than like
gaffer who didn't
the
have a huge
Gaffer, yeah.
role. But
Well,
like that leaves us with like Ted Sandyman or
Yeah.
or who, I mean, he's a villain in essence,
Hmm.
but he's a great supporting actor, just talking smack to the gaffer. Or Mary, who just had that killer line, just one line in the whole chapter. He's like,
Hmm.
"It's a compliment." She called you a brandy buck, like no doubt, like you're good.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Mary is probably. I don't know. That's. I would lean towards Mary probably.
Okay,
I think that's a great line, and yeah, kind of sets the tone for like Mary and Pippin in general as characters
now he's my
through the book.
psychotherapist. If I go to the Shire and I'm having trauma, I'm going to Mary. That's who I'm consulting.
I think Bilbo would be pretty good. Be a pretty good
I
therapist.
don't know. He hates
He's got
everybody.
yeah, but he's got a little bit of trauma. He'd be give some good advice.
The wounded healer.
Yeah.
So my best supporting actor's got to be Gandalf. I mean, I know it's cliched. Everybody knows Gandalf, but in the
Hmm.
book, you really see his personality. You see how he's like 3 steps ahead of everyone. I love that line when Bilbo's like, I'm going to play this joke on the entire Shire." Gandalf's like, "No one's going to laugh. Like, it's not going to be funny."
Andy's
And
right.
then, yeah, I mean, and then he was who he was and didn't really want credit. He's one of like 5 Istari, which are wizards that are sent to Middle Earth, that are basically lesser angels. They're like archangels, and he's just like, I'm just gonna pop some fireworks. All the humility that he had, it's like, I'm fine. No one needs to know who I am. And like, I love his humility. He in his conversations, he's just like perceiving things, but not like keeping things close to his chest and not revealing what he sees. Like he's very prudent and
He's not letting too
inhibits.
much slip, but just enough.
Right. But then you see his first time you see his wisdom and power with Bilbo. One of my favorite lines that I use in real life is, "Soon it will be my turn to get angry." Right? Like, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Bilbo threatens him, puts his hand on the hilt, and Gandalf's
Mhm.
like, "Careful. I'm really
Don't
nice
do
to
that.
you, but I got something for you. If you want some of this, I got something for you." Right? And
Yeah.
then he basically scares the crap out of him. I thought the movie did a great job of when he just gets big in the room. He's like, "I'm not
Yeah.
trying to rob you." But in this, he just like has this commanding voice, which from a
Hmm.
D&D perspective is like the charm spell. It's like,
Hmm.
he's just like totally gets in his head and like convinces him emotionally that he's not an enemy, which was
Hmm.
great. And then he has all these strange like lines where it's like, "Look out for me, especially at unlikely times." I don't even know what that means. How am I supposed to look out for you at I'm not expecting you, but I'm supposed to look
Yeah.
out for you?
Nobody
Like,
knew what that meant. Like,
right.
it's just
Expect me when you see me. And then he's got a little edge to him, like in typical Catholic sinner show fashion, right? Where we're saying nobody's perfect here. Like, that's the point of this whole channel, is that we're all sinners and we all fall short. He's got an anger issue. Like,
yeah.
don't insult his knowledge. He'll clap back. Someone would be like, "How do you know?" He'd be like, "Don't question me." Like, don't question whether
Yeah.
I know things that only the wise know and you don't know anything. Or he's like, "Frodo, open your door. I'm gonna blow it down right now." Like, he's impatient. Like, he's a
Yeah.
rounded
Yeah.
character. I love Gandalf.
Hmm. He's very impatient for somebody that like is alive for a long. Is he immortal? Basically immortal.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, he's immortal. He has a
Yeah.
time in Middle Earth, but
He's
then he
yeah,
transcends that time
but
and
he's
goes
but
back
he's
to
very
Valinor.
impatient for somebody who is number one is immortal,
Yes.
and number two, I have a conspiracy for you too for this one. Do you
Oh
think
boy.
so Gandalf has an anger issue? You think he's ever acted on that anger,
Oof.
like when he shouldn't have?
I want to say no. I don't want my hero.
I know you want to say
Listen,
no.
listen. We live in a world today where all of our heroes, when we scratch the surface a little bit, are fallen and make mistakes and have scandals. Like, let me keep this
Keep Gandalf.
archetype of that which is good in Gandalf, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
say no. He has never given into that anger. He has overcome every
Okay.
single temptation. But realistically, probably no, he even admitted later on that he's made mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Like in future chapters when he talks about letting Gollum go, he's like, "Yep,
Hmm.
that was my bad. I shouldn't have let him go." And now he's causing all these problems. So yeah, there's probably a moment where he let his anger get the best of him. The
Yeah,
better
but all
question is,
that
did
comes
he
back around
apologize?
too, right?
The better question is, did he apologize?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, if you think about that, like he let Gollum go and he thinks that's a mistake until later, because without Gollum, the ring would have never been destroyed.
Definitely. Definitely.
And so it wasn't a mistake. He just thought so at the time.
So right now we're seeing your difficulty with apologizing in action.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't like apologizing and try and find a way to justify the mistakes you've made after the fact, just like you're
Uh,
projecting onto the character of Gandalf. We're seeing it live in action. I know your wife
yeah.
would appreciate this moment.
Yeah, she doesn't have to. We'll edit that out.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what was your favorite part overall?
Of the chapter, well, probably Bilbo's speech at the party. I think the yeah, you're all jerks. I don't like any of you. See ya. Never shows up again. They never see him again.
Just
That's great.
sadistically
Great.
insulting everyone for his own amusement, right?
Yeah.
Like this is one of
Yeah.
our main characters.
Well, I think it helps show like what the hobbits are too, that they're not perfect because I mean they ransack his place, right? I mean
Yes,
they're jerks to Frodo, who is he names his heir or whatever.
right.
So it's like, it just kind of shows like how they actually are. And that was supposed to be his family, most of them, right?
More evidence that hobbits are overrated. Here's a 8 hour party for free with gifts, just free stuff. Here's take this free stuff, as much food as you can eat, as much as you can drink,
Magical
and
fireworks.
fireworks, right? Like not normal fireworks, like a
No.
dragon, like the best fireworks you've ever seen,
Wizard magic fireworks.
right? And they're like, man, this speech is going on longer than 2 minutes. Like, come on, like,
Like wrap it up. Let's go.
yeah. I mean, talk about being self-centered. All they care about is their food and drink. Like, you think they could
Yeah.
give? Do you think you could give the host of the entire event, the biggest event probably of their lives, like more than 30 seconds to give a speech about his 111th birthday, which is like nobody lives that long except for the old Took, who eventually he
Mhm.
beats. You know, he's like the second oldest person in all of Hobbit history, and they're like, dude, shut up. I'm trying to get some
Yeah.
crumb cake over here.
Yeah.
All right, and now the moment of truth. Tattoo.
Hmm.
What scene from this chapter would you get as a tattoo? Or character, whatever. Open ended. What would you get from this
Yeah.
chapter as a tattoo and where?
Well, I wouldn't get a portrait because your options are Bilbo, which is weird. Gandalf's fine. And Frodo, that's weird too. Don't get a Frodo tattoo.
You don't want Frodo
Uh,
on your pec?
no, no. Ham Gamgee maybe, but not Frodo. Uh, no, I mean I think the scene with like I know my favorite scene was the speech, but I don't think there's a really good way to get that tattoo for him. I think like when Gandalf puts the ring into the fire, I think that would be a good scene. Like with like the logs and the ring just sitting on the fire with the script on it, I think would be really cool. I think that would make a pretty cool tattoo.
Oh, that
And
is
I mean
cool.
somebody's probably already done it, but
I
yeah.
haven't seen it. That's pretty cool.
I'd get it like on my calf or something.
Maybe
Like
we'll
maybe
find
a good
some
shoulder blade.
B-roll footage of that somehow. We'll pop it in as you're
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is cool. That is cool. With like the flames around it, and I mean, would you have
Yeah.
it colored or black and just black?
Oh man, with flames, I feel like that you'd have to color that. Like the gold on the ring and the flames. I think you'd have to color it. I think it would
Like
look
red
better.
text on the ring?
I mean, isn't it like gold?
Well, the ring is
Not gold,
gold,
but like
but I think it's
yellow. Yeah.
like the
The text
text
it's
when
like
it's lit.
orange, red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
you'd have to color the text in there
is it
too.
or did we watch a movie?
That's true. Is it does it ever just I don't know if the book ever describes it
No, he can
really. It
read
just
it.
says
No,
yeah, there's text, but it doesn't say like what color it is.
I mean, it could be purple.
Is it just an engraving that shows up? It's just engraved in the gold. It's not a color.
I'd like to think it glows. That's cooler.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The tattoo I would get would be
Mhm.
bag end on my back end. Right on one cheek. I just want the Hobbit house on one cheek. It's like I'm saying goodbye to the Shire, going off on an adventure.
Ugh, yeah.
That's
Would you
not
get on the
only
other one
because
though?
it's a great play on words, bag end on my back end. Like, this is my whole gripe with these hobbits who who are interested in rumors and complain about these strange people that go on adventures but want to know all about it. It's like step it up and go on an adventure yourself and stop criticizing other people. Like do something new and creative and different. Take a risk. Like I'm gonna put bag end right on my back end. Just a green, like a green door, right there, with a
I want
little
you
bit
to
of a hill.
keep that in mind as the episodes go, and figure out what you would get on the other side. It'd have to be something compliment bag end.
We should probably stop right there.
Yeah, that's probably true.